Chapter 11, Sirens. How are you doing, shipmates? I think it's fair to say that we've had a good old soak in the last few chapters. And I think it's just important to say, like, when you read in Ulysses, you do get soaked. You know, we're rowing on, like, we're on tumultuous seas. We're reading a book, for me, that, like, redefined my perception of what the written word could be. And you can't do that and feel comfortable reading it. There's no way you're going to read something that's going to change your perceptions of what a book is, what the written word is, blow you out of the water, gobsmack you. You can't do that and read it and enjoy it and feel like you always know what's going on. You know, let's get this straight. Ulysses is not an enjoyable read. You know, it isn't. I'm not asking you to enjoy it, but it will, hopefully, by the end of the journey, change what you think a book can be. And I think, as part of the Lovely Eggs book club, you need to read this book, because no other book I've ever read has changed my perception of what the written word is and what you can do with the word and how powerful words are and how playful you can be with words and experimental in the way that Joyce is. So please hang on if you are struggling, because I just want to say it's okay to not understand it all. That's not the objective of this book. This is not, don't read this as you would a traditional book where you would read, understand and enjoy. Ulysses is not to be understood or enjoyed. Let's just get that right on the table now. Ulysses is to be experienced. And we won't experience it all till we finish, and then you can look back and then you can, you know, make your own assessment. But for me, it fucking changed my life. Anyway, the Sirens. Okay, this is a great chapter for me, but also a chapter when I first read the book I really struggled with. I remember I couldn't understand what was going on. I was really, really confused when I read it the first time last year. This time I've read it, I felt like I had more of a grasp of what was going on, but still there were elements that after I'd read it, I thought, oh shit, yeah, I didn't realise that was going on. There's a whole, within the chapter, there's a whole, well, it's obviously set in a pub, but there's a whole thing about Boylan, right, who's the guy who Molly's having an affair with, and Bloom's anxiety about Boylan. The clock is ticking down for Boylan to go and visit Molly, his wife, and you know, continue their love affair. That missed me out on the first reading, and to be fair, it missed me out on this reading too. And it was only when I was reading the Sparks notes to make sure I was on track that I thought, oh shit, I missed all that stuff going on. I mean, we saw Boylan enter the pub, and he came across quite cocky and quite self-assured, and you could see sort of Bloom's anxiety, but I didn't put two and two together. So yeah, there was that going on. And it's funny because I know a couple of videos ago, I was like, oh, I don't fucking get the connection between, you know, the Greek, you know, the Odyssey, Homer's Odyssey and Ulysses. And it's just a marketing ploy, and why did they do it? This chapter I can see the parallels between this and the Odyssey. And partly, I think it's because Joyce emphasises that through his use of language. And I think in Sirens, it's so musical, isn't it? The musicality of the words that Joyce chooses to use. I mean, it's beautiful. Like, he doesn't just think, okay, this is going to be about women attracting men, because obviously Molly's there attracting Boylan. You know, you've got the barmaids there, and I know there's a really great scene in the book where, like, you know, Stephen's at the bar, Bloom's watching one of the barmaids, you know, like hold the, you know, the handle of the you know, the beer pull, and there's some sort of phallic reference within that, and it's all this sort of, the women are kind of, you know, kind of trying to woo the men in a way, like bring them off course, if you will. And then obviously at the end you've got the prostitute, and she's like, Bloom's really trying not to look at her, just thinking, you know, like, just look in the shop window, I'm not going to be blown off course by this woman. So yeah, I think there's a lot of parallels going in there, but it's not only that, but it's the way the language is so musical that he chooses to use. It's almost like the whole chapter is the Sirens, the way he's written it. And I'm just going to read a little bit because it's fucking good. Like, let's just take from the get-go, the opening, bronze by gold heard the hoof iron steely ringing. Imperthunk, chips, picking chips off rocky thumbnail chips, horrid and gold flushed more, a husky fife note bloom is on the gold pinnacle hair, a jumping rose on satiny breasts of satin, rose of Castile, trilling, idolorous, peep, who's in the peep of gold, tink tried to bronze in pity. Jingle, jaunted jingling, coin rang, clock clacked. It's all of this, it's all these really sort of, the words have got a musicality to them. I'm just looking down the page, full tup, full throb, warbling, lure, alluring, clap, clop, clip, clap, clappity clap. The whole thing, throughout the whole chapter, it's stuff like that. And it makes a musicality to the whole thing, which is beautiful and very clever. There's the rose, it's like the repetition and the puns on bloom and blue and the rose of Castile, and there's the poetic melody to it, which is beautiful. Just some great, I'm just going to read a great line that I read in it, again, it's bringing it back to the musicality of it. So like Bloom's having his dinner in one of the dining rooms, and there's the waiter brings something to him. So bold, deft Pat brought quite flat pad ink. Pat set with ink pen, quite flat pad. Pat took plate, dish, knife, fork. Pat went. Bore this, bored Bloom, tambourined gently with I am just reflecting fingers on flat pad, Pat brought. It's like a tongue twister, isn't it? It's like Peter Piper picked pickle pepper. It's amazing, and Joyce is fucking with us, and I love that, and it makes me laugh, I liked being fucked with. I like the joy of art, the art of the written word, dicking about with stuff. It's good, it's fun, and I dig it. And it's okay to fall off the climbing frame, and I think that's also why you should feel relaxed about reading Ulysses, is that I think Joyce was kind of relaxed about writing Ulysses, and he's having a bit of a laugh and dicking about with words, and it's okay for us to fall off for a few sentences, paragraphs, chapters, whatever. We don't get it, but we get back on, because essentially it's fun. Right, and another beautiful line in this chapter. A liquid of womb of woman eyeball gazed under a fence of lashes, calmly hearing. Wow. He's just really poetic in it. He's great. And obviously there's all these musical references throughout the chapter. I love the fact that they're at the bar and they're listening to a seashell. They're passing this seashell round and hearing the sound of the sea, and then it says that it's not the sea, it's just the sound of the blood in your ear or whatever. And it's also musical, and it's really cinematic, isn't it? Like the whole chapter set in this pub. You see characters coming in, characters leaving, people come in, Stephen starts to play the piano, other people join in, people start singing. You really get that pub atmosphere. Joyce creates that so well, in a really unconventional way. And I think that's like what draws me to it. He basically wants you to feel something, but he doesn't do it in a conventional way. And you get the tap, 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 tap throughout the chapter. That's like tap, tap, tap. And then you realise afterwards that it's a blind man, and it's the tap of his walking stick, well, you know, his stick, his blind stick, as he goes back to the pub because he's forgotten his tuning fork. And that punctuates the chapter all the way through. Yeah, and of course we've got at the end tap, 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 tap. And it's all the way, and it's more and more and more frequently. This tapping, this tapping, this tapping, this tapping, this tapping. And then, yeah, they're all playing stuff in music. It's like instruments, a blade of grass, shell of her hands, then blow. Even comb and tissue paper you can knock a tune out of. It's really interesting. It really took me back, because I remember when I was a kid, my dad used to get a comb, and he used to get some greaseproof paper and put it over the comb, and we'd do tunes with it, you know. And yeah, that was a blast for the past from me. So I do think this chapter was hard. If I could be bothered, I would reread it and try and make sense of the Boylan stuff, make more sense of the Bloom, you know, the anxiety about Boylan going to have the affair and all of that. But I think there was another reader a couple of videos ago, they got a bit lost as well in what was happening, and my advice to them was like, literally, don't fucking look back, just keep rowing. You can't go back and reread stuff. And so I'm going to take my own advice, and I'm going to keep going, and we're going to charge on to the next chapter, which is Cyclops. So, you know, I'll see you in, I don't know how long the chapter is it 10, 20, 30 pages, but when it's done, we'll be back. Keep rowing, crew.